It's Saturday the 16th December. It's just past 6 o'clock and welcome to our Saturday evening news programme. And in the news this week, plans have been unveiled for a new base for training for the British sailing team at the Sailing Academy on Portland. And it's thought that it will cost around £9 million. The centre will place the team's current temporary leased units at the Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy at Osprey Quay, which has been its home since the 2012 Olympics. It's thought the project will largely be funded by UK Sport, the RYA, and from private donations. Mark Robinson from the RYA said, for the British sailing team to continue its dominance in an increasingly challenging funding, competitive and regulatory environment, it must double down on its strength, which is its intellectual capability and retained knowledge, depth of fleet and available sailing conditions in Weymouth and Portland. We now have an opportunity to create a legacy for the British sailing team as we will reaffirm the team's commitment to its home in Weymouth and Portland. This project is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to ensure that our Olympic gold medal aspirants are afforded the greatest possible chances of success, and will set up our programme to do so for decades to come. Now, Great Britain is the most successful Olympic sailing nation of all time, with 64 medals, including 31 golds won since the sport made its debut in 1900. Team GB has also topped the sailing medal table at 5 of the past 6 games, a feat Britain's elite sailors will aim to replicate this summer at Paris 2024. Now, David Griffith, who's the chair of directors at the Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy, said, Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy is proud to be considered the home of the British sailing team. Bringing the Performance and Innovation Centre onto our site will support our mission to inspire the next generation of sailors, both recreational and competitive. Forging ever closer links with our RYA partners will drive operational and financial benefits for both organisations and secure the legacy promises made as a 2012 host venue. Now, the plans for the Performance and Innovation Centre have broad support from Portland Town Council and have been submitted for planning to Dorset Council. If approved, building will start in spring 2024 with a view to the centre being opened in summer 2025, subject to sufficient funding being secured to coincide with the 150th anniversary of the RYA in 2025. Now, over £1,500 has been raised by Weymouth Town Council Mayor's Christmas Appeal Fund. The Mayor of Weymouth, Councillor Kate Weller, will hold an event this Thursday on the 21st of December to present recipients of this year's Christmas Fund appeal with a share of the money raised this year. The total of £1,563 will be split between the following organisations and an individual. All receive £312 each. That's the Lantern Trust, the Nest Shop, Weymouth Food Bank, the Bus Shelter Project, and a lady called Ollie, whose story was in the local press recently and inspired Mayor Kate Weller. Now, Mayor Kate Weller said, my sincere thanks go to all those who have donated and those who have helped shake the donation buckets at various events to help me raise vital funds for this year's appeal. A range of community groups and organisations have been selected to benefit from the money raised, including the Nest, the Lantern Trust, Weymouth Food Bank, the Bus Shelter, and I've also chosen a woman called Ollie to benefit as well, as her story in the local media touched my heart and I wanted to do something to help her and her family following their difficult time. So thank you to all those who've donated to the Mayor of Weymouth's Christmas appeal. Now, Chris Loader, who's the MP for West Dorset, has issued a statement following the Ministry of Defence announcement about the plan to temporarily accommodate up to 250 people from Afghanistan at Chickerell Camp. Now, these people are people who've supported the British Armed Forces in their work. Under the Afghan Resettlement and Assistance Policy, ARAP for short, the UK government has re-evaluated the risks to the ARAP families overseas and has committed its efforts to relocate them to the UK at pace. In fact, I believe they've already started arriving this week. Mr. Loader said, "I'm pleased that we are doing our bit to help those who would otherwise be at great risk in Afghanistan under the Taliban rule, and I'm sure that the other people of Chicra and the wider West Dorset will offer a warm welcome to those who will be with us over Christmas and for up to 6 weeks at a time." The ARAP scheme is for Afghan citizens who work for or with the UK government and British Armed Forces in Afghanistan and are exposed or meaningful roles and who are therefore now in danger. From the 13th of December, that was this week, eligible families will begin to move into Chickerell Camp on a revolving basis for a period of up to 6 months whilst we bring them to safety. Mr. Loader continued to say it's regrettable that this will have a negative impact on the cadet facility at Chickerell, but I've been to meet with the Armed Forces Minister to ask for an alternative provision to be found and hope to have an update shortly. So good news that we're doing our piece for those people who helped us in Afghanistan and need to be brought to a place of safety, and they will be arriving at Chickerell on a temporary basis while other homes are found for them around the UK. Now, the demolition of the former council offices on North Quay in Weymouth are due to start this coming week. Work is set to start on Monday on the main external demolition of the office block, which was the former home of Weymouth and Portland Borough Council. Dorset Council has confirmed that the planned start of the demolition will be on Monday and will finish in the new year. A spokesman for Dorset Council said external demolition is due to start on Monday and will schedule to conclude mid-January. The demolition of the building comes after several weeks of stripping the interior and archaeological digs on the site of the former office's car park. During the excavation on site, the remains of a pub damaged by bombs during World War II were unearthed, along with medieval pottery and a cannonball dating back to the Civil War. The building was built in the 1960s and was officially opened by Princess Anne in 1971, but has remained empty since 2017 when the council relocated. This week saw the national booking system for COVID vaccinations for the autumn and winter programme close. However, it's still possible to get your vaccinations through local NHS vaccination services such as pharmacies, GP practices or community hospital walk-in sites. However, there will be fewer vaccination centres now and fewer appointments available, and you may need to travel further. You can continue to book the COVID vaccine through local services until the 31st of January. After that, COVID vaccinations will close and people will be required to wait for a future seasonal campaign unless they develop a new health condition or start treatment that severely weakens their immune system, in which case a clinician may advise and arrange a vaccination sooner. For those eligible for a free flu vaccine from this week onwards, it will be possible to book one by contacting your GP surgery or finding a pharmacy that offers the NHS flu vaccination for over 18s. The free flu vaccination offer will close after the 31st of March, so you've still got a little while yet. However, getting it as soon as possible is encouraged to ensure protection over the colder months when flu is usually more prevalent. Members of Dorset Council voted this week to approve the council's housing strategy, and that was done at this week's full council meeting at County Hall, Dorchester. It brings together extensive research and analysis of housing issues from a local and national context, internal and external stakeholder engagement, and there were 2,137 responses over the 10-week public consultation period, and these have helped to shape the council's strategy. The council voted on the objectives and approach to meet local housing needs over the next 5 years, and this will continue to be supported now with the development of a delivery plan. Now, the coroner for Dorset has issued an appeal for finding the next of kin for a man who lived in Weymouth. The coroner for Dorset is seeking the assistance of the public in finding the next of kin of Edward Sturmey. Mr. Sturmey was 88 years old and died at his home address in Markham Avenue on Thursday the 14th of December. There's no suspicious circumstances around Mr. Sturmey's death, and no need for the police to investigate further. The coroner's officer, Lucy Manuel, said, "We are not treating the death as suspicious. However, we have not been able to locate the next of kin of this individual." Now, if anybody knows the knowledge of the next of kin or any family member of Mr. Sturmey, Edward Sturmey of Markham Avenue, then the coroner's office would like to hear from them, and you can get in touch with the coroner's office on 01202 123 900 01202 123 900. So if you know anything at all about the relatives or next of kin of Edward Sturmey from Markham Avenue, then the coroner's office would be very grateful for your assistance. Dorset Council has this week, well, my picture's not, there we go, this week advised on the dates for rubbish and recycling collections. Of course, they will change as normal over the Christmas and New Year period because of the holiday dates and bank holidays. As well as your collection date changing over Christmas period, the crews might pick up your waste at a different time of day than usual. Therefore, the council are asking you to put your containers out nice and early on the day of collection by 6 a.m. That's a bit early maybe for some people, so maybe put them out the night before, which is what I always usually do. There will be no garden waste collections between Monday the 25th of December and Friday the 5th of January, so just be aware of that. If you have extra recycling that won't fit into your bin, you can put it in a sturdy box of your own. As long as it can be lifted by one person, they can be put by the side of your recycling bin. Please put paper and card in your bin to ensure that it doesn't get wet. It's no use to the council if it gets wet. You can also put out 2 extra sacks of black bin rubbish on your first scheduled rubbish collection after Christmas. So if you filled your bin up, you can put up to 2 black plastic bins, liners full of rubbish, next to your bin on the first collection after Christmas. Now, there are lots of items that can be recycled over Christmas, and here's just a few to remind you of. All cooked and uncooked food, including turkey bones. That could be in your food bin. Christmas cards, as long as there's no glitter on them. Wrapping paper, but no glitter bows or ribbons, please. Scrunch your wrapping paper up. If it stays scrunched, it can be recycled. If you scrunch it up and it returns to its shape, it means it's foil based and it can't be recycled, and it must go into the general rubbish bin. Glass bottles and jars, metal lids can go back on them and put them in the separate glass box. Batteries, please keep them out of your rubbish. They need to be recycled separately, so you should have a little pink bag for batteries. If you haven't, just put them in a normal plastic bag and put them on top of your recycling bin or your food bin. But please, please, please don't put them in the rubbish, because they do cause fires, and a number of fires each year do happen at recycling centres and even at landfill sites where batteries have been inappropriately disposed of. Of course, food and drinks cans can be recycled, as can plastic bottles, pots, tubs and trays. Now, the bulky household recycling centres will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day except Christmas Day, Boxing Day and New Year's Day. Now, up on the screen, very, very small, you'll see the adjusted collection dates for you. Now, we've put that up full size on the Wyke Regis TV Facebook page. So if you just go onto Facebook and search for Wyke Regis TV and go to our Facebook page, you will see that nice and large for you, so you can check what day you would normally have your collection and what day that will now happen on. Now, officers from Dorset Police have several appeals this week for your help. Firstly, they're appealing for witnesses or anyone with information to come forward as they investigate an assault in Weymouth. It was reported that around 10:10 a.m. on Friday the 8th of December, a woman aged in her 20s was walking on the esplanade near to Bluebird Coach's booking office with a young child when they were approached by a man who was known to her. She was reportedly assaulted and threatened by the man, but did not sustain serious injury. Police Constable Mark Eastgate of Dorset Police said, "We are investigating this matter and I'm keen to speak to any witnesses to the incident. I'm particularly keen to hear from a woman who was believed to be aged in her 50s who intervened during the assault. Finally, I would urge any motorists who were driving in the area around the relevant time to please check any dashcam footage to see if they captured anything of relevance." Next appeal from Dorset Police this week. Detectives are issuing an image of a man they would like to identify as the investigating assault in Weymouth Town Centre that left the victim with a fractured jaw. Now, unfortunately, it's not a very clear picture, but if you know that individual or that clothing, it may jog your memory. Now, between 2:15am and 2:30am on Sunday the 15th of October, a man aged in his 40s was assaulted in New Street. He was taken to hospital where he received treatment for a fractured jaw. Detective Constable Rob Hoskins of Dorset County CID said, "We are continuing to investigate this assault and we have now obtained a CCTV image of a man who we'd like to identify as part of our inquiries. I would urge anyone with information regarding his identity to please contact us." And another one from Dorset Police. Police officers investigating an assault on a dog walker in Weymouth are appealing for witnesses or anyone with information to come forward. Between 8:10am and 8:20am on Wednesday the 29th of November, the victim, a woman aged in her 50s, was walking her dog on a path near to Victory Hall in Putton Lane when a group of male teenagers approached riding scooters. The group did not slow down and the victim was knocked by the scooters. She did not sustain any injuries. Police Constable Scott Williams of Weymouth Police said, "I have now been able to obtain details of this incident from the victim and inquiries are continuing to identify those involved. I'd ask anyone in the area who saw anything or has any information on the group of boys to please contact Dorset Police." And finally this week from Dorset Police, officers investigating a series of criminal damage incidents in Weymouth are appealing for witnesses or anyone with information. It's reported that at least 5 cars had their tyres slashed while parked in a communal car park outside a block of flats off Dorchester Road in the Lodmore Hill area between Monday the 27th of November and Monday the 4th of December. Police Community Support Officer Sonny Scadden of the Weymouth and Portland Neighbourhood Policing Team said, "Some of these incidents have occurred during the evening, but others have also occurred during the day, and we are carrying out various inquiries to try and identify who is responsible. I would urge anyone who has witnessed any suspicious activity in this area or anyone with any information on these incidents to please contact us." Now, as ever, with any of these incidents or any other information you have for Dorset Police about any crime committed across Weymouth and Portland or further afield, you can contact them on 101, or if you wish to give information anonymously, you can do this via the Crime Stoppers charity on 0800 555 111. That's 0800 555 111. Now, Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service is urging people not to cut corners with safety when buying electrical items as Christmas gifts this year. Anyone shopping through an online marketplace runs the risk of purchasing products that don't meet safety standards. Now, Vicky Thomas from Dorset and Wilts Fire and Rescue said, "Everyone loves a bargain, but cheap substandard items that don't meet the legal requirements for fire safety are dangerous. Across the UK, we've seen far too many homes destroyed by fires that have started in cheap electrical products, and there have even been cases where people have lost their lives. We are therefore urging people to only buy from reputable high street and online retailers." Top tips to remember: make sure any electrical item has a British or European safety mark when you buy it. Watch for signs of dangerous loose wiring such as scorch marks, hot plugs and sockets, fuses that often blow, circuit breakers that trip for no obvious reasons. Always use the manufacturer's approved charger for any rechargeable product. Be careful with any rechargeable device. Different USB chargers give different voltages, which can cause the lithium battery to overcook to the point where it can explode. Never leave a device on charge when you're out of the house or asleep. If buying an e-bike conversion kit, purchase from a reputable seller and check that it complies with British or European standards, and take particular care if buying from an online auction or fulfilment platforms. Make sure you have working smoke alarms in the event of a fire. Get out, stay out, and call 999. That's good advice there from Dorset Wilts Fire and Rescue. Now, more information about fire safety in the home can be found on their website at www.dwfire.org.uk/safety. That's www.dwfire.org.uk/safety. Now, a long-serving head teacher at a local primary school has retired this week. Jo Luxton, who's led St George's Primary School on Portland for the last 12 years, but has served the school for an amazing 46 years, initially starting as a games teacher, has retired. Originally from Croydon, Mrs Luxton met her husband on the Isle of Wight and then moved back to his hometown Weymouth, where she began her teaching training. After doing supply work for several schools, she felt a strong affinity for the Portland area and for this particular primary school at St George's. She said she was driven by a strong desire to leave a lasting impact on the school and to equip pupils with the skills they need as they progress into higher education. Mrs Luxton has decided the time is right to retire, feeling reassured that she'll be leaving on a high with pupils and staff feeling happy and contented. Fellow staff members have praised the departing head teacher for immense dedication to the school community and her warm nature. Kim Hughes, who was Mrs Luxton's assistant, said, "I think the staff will miss her massively. She's a fantastic head teacher who really cares not just for the pupils but for the staff and community. She's got a very warm heart and thinks an awful lot of everyone." So best wishes to Jo Luxton as she starts her retirement, and congratulations on a massive 46 years service at St George's School on Portland. Now, finally, in our headlines tonight, Dorset residents are being asked for their thoughts on which routes are important to them and what needs to change to help them get more active in their daily lives. Dorset Council wants to make it easier for more people to gain the benefit of active travel, whether walking, cycling or wheeling in a wheelchair, mobility scooter or similar aid. For their health, their independence, their pockets and, of course, for the environment. Everyday trips like getting to and from school, commuting to work, visiting town centres or enjoying the local area are a great way to be physically active while doing routine activities. Now, to help it develop its active travel infrastructure plan, the council is running a short survey to find out what routes are important to people and what prevents residents from walking, cycling or access with their wheelchairs across the area. The council is initially seeking views on a network of routes in eastern and southern Dorset, which are the most densely populated parts of the council area. And they're certainly looking across the whole of Weymouth and Portland, having looked at the survey earlier today and put my comments in, as I always like to do with these council surveys. If you don't provide your comments, you can't expect the council to consider your views. Now, Councillor Byron from Dorset Council said residents without a vehicle are often users of wheelchairs and mobility scooters. Uneven, narrow pavements and missing crossings can prevent them from moving safely around their area, limiting their independence, with resulting impacts on their health and happiness. Being able to walk, wheel and cycle more easily can reduce air pollution and improve our own mental and physical health, well-being, and even if it's done in smaller doses. Now, you can help the council get it right by taking part in the survey. And it only takes a couple of minutes, and if you go onto Google and you search for Dorset Council Active Travel Infrastructure Plan, that's Dorset Council Active Travel Infrastructure Plan, you will be able to take part in that survey and influence what the council will do in future in terms of pavements, footpaths, cycle tracks, etc. Now, if you can't do it online, you can request a survey in an alternative format, such as a paper copy. You can email activetravel@dorsetcouncil.gov.uk, that's activetravel@dorsetcouncil.gov.uk, or you can even give them a call, speak to them on the telephone, and they'll tell you what other formats the survey's available in, and probably will put a paper one in the post for you if you ask them. And the number to call is 01305 221 883. That's 01305 221 883. And the survey runs through until the 18th of January. So do make sure you take part in that if that's something that's important to you. Now, that's the end of this week's headlines. Now, we have been looking each week at areas of outstanding natural beauty now renamed as National Landscapes. And over the last few weeks we've looked at some of those in our local area, and this week we're going to look at Langdon Hill and Golden Cap in West Dorset, and in this video showcase the natural beauty of Langdon Hill and Golden Cap in West Dorset. Langdon Hill is a walker's delight with easy woodland walking trails, and if you're feeling adventurous, take a short steep hike to Golden Cap, the highest point on the south coast, for stunning coastal views. It is a bit of a climb up Golden Cap, but as it says, it's the highest point on the south coast, and if you get to the top, the views are amazing on a really good clear day. I've done that in the past. I don't think I would manage it today with some of the health conditions I've got, but it's certainly worth it if you can manage it. So here's that little video on Langdon Hill and Golden Cap in West Dorset, part of Dorset's National Landscapes. There we go, Langdon Hill and Golden Cap there, just along the coast a bit from Weymouth Port. And we will hear more about the National Landscapes in future weeks. And if you want to find out more about them now, and maybe you're thinking of some of the places you can go for a walk over the Christmas break, do pop along to their website, which is www.dorset-nl for National Landscapes, dorset-nl.org. .uk. And if you do go out on any of these walks that you find on there, why not drop us a line and let us know how you got along with your walk and where you've been. We would love to hear from you. Now it's time in this week's programme to hear from regular contributor Andrew Wright with this week's film review and preview.
Welcome to Wyke Regis TV film review and preview. I'm Andrew Wright. This week saw the release of The Equalizer 3 on home video. And the film stars Denzel Washington as retired government operative Robert McCall, who ends up building a new life in southern Italy, but ends up going against the local mafia to protect his new community. The film also stars Dakota Fanning and is directed by Antoine Fuqua, who also directed the first two films, as well as other films starring Washington, including Training Day and Emancipation. Now, I watched this film because I'm a fan of the currently ongoing TV series starring Queen Latifah as McCall, and I had seen the first two films, but I felt that this film was just bland, quiet, and above all, just unnecessary, with the violence in the film being too excessive and gratuitous. It also starts and ends really suddenly, so I gave the film 1.5 stars out of 5. This week, Saw X released on home video as the 10th film in the Saw franchise, with Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith reprising their roles from earlier entries in the franchise. The film is set between the first two films and revolves around Bell's John Kramer travelling to Mexico to find a cure for his terminal cancer, only to be caught up in a scam operation, so he decides to kidnap those responsible and subject them to his trademark death traps. Now, I was excited for this film as I'm a fan of the Saw franchise, and this film didn't disappoint. Bell gives what is probably a career best performance, definitely his best performance in a Saw film. And the film feels like a new breath of fresh air with its first internationally filmed and set sequences. So I gave the film 4.5 stars out of 5. An 11th film has been confirmed to be in development for a release date of next September. This week, the 4th Expendables film was released on home video. The film features Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren and Randy Couture reprising their roles from the previous films, and they're joined by actors 50 Cent, Megan Fox, Levi Tran and Andy Garcia. The film revolves around the Expendables having their member roster mixed up whilst they go after an arms dealer looking to get nuclear weapons. Now, this film was negatively received by critics and bombed at the box office, so I didn't have high expectations to it. But when I came to it, the CGI was just really horrible and unfinished, and the lack of familiar faces was a bit too jarring, but there was still the film still felt enjoyable to some degree, so I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. This weekend, the newest Japanese Godzilla film releases in UK cinemas. The last one came out in 2016, I believe. This new one has become an international hit at the American box office, and an unexpected hit with critics. Titled Godzilla -1, the film revolves around post-war Japan dealing with the emergence of Godzilla, specifically a former World War II kamikaze pilot dealing with his trauma from the war. The film has received about 97% positive reviews from both critics and audiences, with particular praise for the human drama in the film and the film's social commentary. The film is in cinemas this weekend, so try to see it wherever you can, because of who's distributing it. I believe there might not be many showings, but I'm definitely planning on seeing it at some point. I might have to see the Shin Godzilla movie first. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next week where I'll be talking about the new Netflix sci-fi epic Rebel Moon from director Zack Snyder, as well as the new DC film Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and Andrew will be back with us next week on the Christmas weekend. So, next we have the national weather forecast for you, and we're going over to the Met Office, and this week we are joined by Jonathan Vautry.
Hello there. It's quite a slow-moving weather setup over the course of this weekend, with systems pretty much rooted in the same spot for both Saturday and Sunday. It's high pressure to the south of the UK. Meanwhile, this trailing frontal system is fringing into parts of northern Scotland. There's quite a squeeze in the isobars in between that, and it's this southwesterly airflow pushing round that high pressure system that's building in some quite mild air. It's also quite a moist southwesterly airflow as well, so there's a lot of cloud being pushed in across much of the UK. A few brighter spots to watch out for, particularly down the eastern half, so Aberdeenshire down into Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, into Norfolk as well, seeing some brighter spots. Further west, that cloud is thick enough for some outbreaks of rain and drizzle, the most persistent rain though across western Scotland. A breezy, windy day for many of us in amongst all of that, particularly for the northern half of the UK. Gusts, the gale strength around coast and many of the hills locations as well. Gusts of 40, 50 miles per hour across northern areas of Scotland. That will take the edge off the feel of things a touch, but where you are in shelter, it will be a pretty mild day underneath all that cloud. Temperatures holding up around 11, 12 degrees Celsius for the vast majority of us. That is a good number of degrees above average for the time of year. Because those systems are slow moving though, it does mean the rainfall across western Scotland is going to be particularly persistent, and it will turn heavy into this evening and overnight. Rain warning is enforced that does turn amber into Sunday morning, with significant disruption, possible flooding and the risk of landslides due to a month's worth of rain potentially falling. Elsewhere, it will be a drier night, still some drizzle to contend with across western areas, but quite a lot of clouds as well. Temperatures might drop down into mid-single figures where you see the odd occasional break in the cloud, but for most of us it will be an unseasonably mild night, particularly for Northern Ireland and Scotland, where we see temperatures holding around 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. That rain then still there as we head into Sunday, persistent and heavy across parts of the Highlands, Isle of Skye into Argyll and Bute as well throughout the day. Please do take care, because sudden disruption is certainly possible. It will slowly push its way into parts of Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland as well. Much of England and Wales though will stay dry throughout Sunday, despite that few outbreaks of drizzle, but again, another cloudy grey day for many of us. mild once again. Underneath all of that, temperatures holding up around 10-13 degrees Celsius. Still blustery though for most of us, so it will just take a little bit of chill where you are exposed to that wind. The frontal system slowly pushing its way southwards as we head into the evening and overnight. So some of that rain eventually pushing its way into parts of northwest England, into northern Wales as well. The far southeast staying dry, another cloudy, mild night here. But in the far northwest, we'll start to see some fresher conditions moving in behind that rain band. So temperatures will slowly be dropping their way down as we head into the start of the new working week, closer towards average for the time of year. But we'll have more updates on that as we head over the next few days, so make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel to keep up to date with all of that, and we'll be back with you again very soon. Bye bye.
Thank you very much there, Jonathan. And looking at the local weather for the week ahead, looking to remain mild, so it doesn't look like we're going to get a white Christmas unless there's a sudden change. Just a couple of days of wet there. Monday and Tuesday the highest chance of being wet, but sunny spells the rest of the week, and as we say, staying relatively mild, although the temperatures may drop during the night. Now, time for our What's On, and not too much going on at the moment. A few things coming up at Weymouth Pavilion. Obviously, the Christmas pantomime is still on through to the 31st of December. 5th of January, the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra's New Year Viennese Gala. 12th of January, the big country show, if you're into country and western music. 19th of January, Queen Rhapsody. And 20th of January, Rolling Stones Story. Now, for those and things happening in the new year, WeymouthPavilion.com is the website, WeymouthPavilion.com, or the box office 01305 783 225. That's 01305 783 225. The Noath Fort has got a Christmas carol with the As One Theatre tomorrow. More information on that, www.noathfort.org.uk. And we're waiting for the Arts Reach programme for the first quarter of next year to be released in print version. But do pop along to their website at www.artsreach.co.uk and keep an eye on that for what's coming up. Now, thinking of Christmas, tomorrow, 17th of December, there's a traditional service of lessons and carols at All Saints Church in Wyke, Regis at 6:30 p.m. And there will be mulled wine and Christmas cake afterwards. On Monday, that's the 18th, there will be carols around the Christmas tree in Wyke Square, and that's at 7:15 p.m. And again, there's usually mulled wine and roasted chestnuts or something like that available in the square on Monday evening. Regular services tomorrow at All Saints Church are 8 a.m. For communion, 9:30 for communion at All Saints Church, and 11 o'clock at St Edmund's Church. The only other thing we've got coming up, of course, is our quiz tonight at 7:30, which you're all very welcome to attend. It's suitable for everyone, it's free of charge. And there will be 6 rounds of questions and a picture round as usual. And next Saturday, the quiz will be a special Christmas quiz. So if you like Christmas quizzes, do look out for that next Saturday at 7:30. As ever, the stream will go live about 7:15, 7:20. So you can get in the right place and get yourself comfortable for it to start promptly at 7:30. Now that's all we have for you this week. That's the end of our programme this week. If you've got any news or events coming up or anything you want to share with the community here in Wyke Regis, Weymouth and Portland, South Dorset and beyond, do drop us a line, news@wykeregis.tv. We'd love to hear from you. And we will look out for any messages that come in and share that in our future programmes. So I hope you have a very pleasant weekend. I hope you're getting organised for Christmas, and maybe you'll be popping along to a carol service either in Wyke Regis or further afield, and you will enjoy that and that'll get you in the mood for Christmas. If not, I look forward to being back with you next Saturday, just before Christmas, 6 p.m. next Saturday here on Wyke Regis TV. Other than that, all I have to say is good night and have a good weekend.